Hey guys, welcome back to Believe in Eagles. It's NFL Week 12, and I'm your host, Lee Mayock. Joining me once again is fan favorite, Mike Mayock. Woo! And as always, this show is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. I have not made my picks this week because Eagles are Sunday Night Football versus the Rams, NFL Week 12. I've not made my picks this week, but I think I think it's a no-brainer at this point to take the over on Saquon Barkley's rushing yards. So that's something I'll do. As we get closer, I'll check out the lines and the numbers. Do I sound like I know what I'm doing?
Sure. I think you do. I like your hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you. These are the ones I sent, and I finally sent them to you. It's the melon hats.
I like it's good color on you.
Thank you. And I'm wearing it, especially today, is because after I have such a long day. When you have a trip coming up, the day before and the day of your trip are just, you fit in every errand you've ever had in the last 7 years of your life. And since these don't get sweaty or gross and they are just really nice and sleek, I have an overnight flight tonight to Ireland. And I'm going to wear this all day and then wear it all night on the plane. And it's going to be fresh as a daisy when I land in Ireland.
And I think you're going to have a great time in Ireland.
Thanks. I brought 3 melon hats for the trip too. So
Smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so where are we? It feels like we were on a mini bye, right? With the Eagles playing on Thursday instead of Sunday. What happens during those? People do call them mini buys. So what goes on in at the facility or in the Eagles situation where they're coming off a win against a division rival? They're sitting in number 1 in the NFC East right now. Can you take us through what their week of a mini buy is like this week?
Yeah, I think the players have mixed emotions about the Thursday night games because on the one hand, you're beat up and tired and it's hard to rally to play another physical game so quickly. But on the other hand, if you get a win, basically you usually get out of town for a few days and get an opportunity to go see family or friends or go on a quick vacation. Not a big deal, but just enough to kind of feel human again. Coaches.
That sounds refreshing.
A little bit, yeah.
Is there a difference if you're coming off of say they were in the weeds, losing record, mini bye week? Is that a very different vibe?
Yeah, and the coaches can be as generous or not with some of the free time. There's always the old joke in the NFL, when you win a game on Sunday, all the players are in the locker room right after the game, hoping the coach is going to say, "Hey, Victory Monday." Which means they don't have to come in unless they're injured, So after you win on a Thursday or after you play on a Thursday, the coaches have some latitude about how much free time they can give. And the players are always fired up to get as much as they can, obviously. The coaches have to grind regardless. I remember for me, a couple of times it gave me an opportunity to get on the road and go scout anywhere I wanted without having to worry about having a game I could go to a college game on Saturday without having to worry about being at the Raiders game on Sunday. Because what I used to do was kind of tie in my scouting trips. If we had a game at Cleveland, last year I went to Cincinnati, who had Sauce Gardner, and Ohio State the next day. So back-to-back those trips, and then met the team in Cleveland. And that's what a lot of GMs do. So
your week got busier.
Well, everybody's got different schedules, and God bless the players because they're the ones that bodies get beat up. So I think they're always excited when they get a win and a little more free time.
All right, so they're sitting number 1 in the NFC East. The NFC and the AFC, they're kind of shaking out. We're kind of seeing what they're going to look like. How do you compare right now the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles?
I would probably say that based on just how dominant Detroit has been all year long.
Oh, the 50-some points they put up last week and 40-something the week before? Crazy.
They've put up over 50, I think, 3 times. And I saw yesterday that they've won 3 games by 38 points or more. And, you got to score 38 to win by 38 or more. It's kind of cool to watch the whole thing. And I'm enjoying it because there's a couple of former Raider coaches and scouts there now.
Mhm.
They're Amik Robertson's their nickel. So there's some Raider blood there, and I'm excited for my guys because I know how excited they are. And I think they're the number one team in the NFL right now.
Oh, you think you're saying the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff are the number one team in the NFL right now?
I think, yeah, I do.
Okay.
And when he threw five interceptions 2 weeks ago, they still won the game, and I still didn't care because Goff has played at such a high level. I'm all in on Detroit. I think Philadelphia, again, based on body of work in the NFC, I think Philadelphia will be the next best team that I've seen. They've won 6 in a row. They're on a roll. And then I think there's a little bit of a drop-off. And you're looking at kind of Green Bay, Minnesota, Washington, and everybody wants to keep throwing San Francisco in there, even though they're 5-5, because they are talented.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, it's Detroit at the top, Philly underneath. Then there's a little bit of a drop, and then you get those other teams. And then in the AFC, I think Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh are kind of the top 4. And then maybe the Chargers and Houston a drop below that. So to me, that's how the top plus or minus 6 teams shake out in both conferences.
Okay, but then combine those, and where do you put the Eagles?
I would have Detroit 1, probably Buffalo 2, maybe Kansas City 3, Philly 4.
Okay. What, Ravens 5 or?
Baltimore lost to Pittsburgh last week.
Oh yeah. But that's such a different game to me because I just feel like they're such rivals, and that game is always so nasty. I feel like it doesn't really show their overall.
It's a street fight. It's a brawl, and Pittsburgh seems to kind of get. I mean, Pittsburgh. Nobody's respecting Pittsburgh, and I give him a lot of credit. Mike Tomlin's so good. He's so good. I love watching Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, he's great. So you would say if you had to, you would put Steelers number 5.
I put them right in there with Philly 4 and 5. And you want to hear a Mike Tomlin story?
Absolutely.
We're at a pro day years ago. I probably 2017, 18. I think University of Georgia, and there was a kid, I think a defensive back, that didn't want to do the vertical jump. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you don't do something at a pro day, you have to kind of step forward and in front of the big group of scouts and coaches say your name and why you're not going to do it. So the kid steps up and he goes, so-and-so name, personal choice. We all went, oh, this is going to be good. Because the scouts were all like, what do you mean personal choice?
Well, and you guys hadn't heard that one on the road yet, huh?
What's that?
You guys hadn't heard that, really?
Every once in a while you hear it, and the scouts get real chippy about those, because they got to check off all the boxes. Every number's got to get in every box, and the scouts hate it. I'm standing next to Mike Tomlin, and the scouts give the kid some abuse, and he says, yeah, I just don't feel like I should, and maybe my hammy's a little bit sore, and it might, and da-da-da-da-da. So Tomlin just stands there and waits till all the scouts are done. He says, son, come here. He said, I'm not coming back. And if you look around this room, most of these guys ain't coming back to watch you friggin' jump. Okay? So if you say come back in a week or 2, nobody's coming back to watch you jump. So I'm just telling you, like, you got to make a big boy decision right now. You can go over there and jump and compete, or you can go crawl away and nobody's going to watch you jump ever. It's up to you. And I'm standing right next to Tom and going, this is friggin' awesome. And of course, the kid looked and says, yes, sir. He went over and jumped and had a good jump. And, it was.
That's awesome. And Tomlin really helped him.
Tomlin's great. He's, he gets players in competition, and he's not afraid to call anybody out on anything. And he used to call me when I was in television. Every time I saw him, he'd say, "Hey, plug and play, get over here," because I had a comment about. I used to say, I had all those nicknames or different things, and
Oh yeah,
he's
like
quicker than yeah,
heavy-legged waistbender,
quicker than
boxer in
fast.
the wait,
Yeah,
what was the short-armed boxer in a phone booth?
sort of
A dancing bear.
dancing bear.
Um,
Yeah,
just a guy.
yeah. But anyway, Tomlin
Okay.
used to get me. He's so funny. He's so good at what he does too.
Wait, what would he
So good.
say? What did he say to you?
He used to say, "What did I just tell you?" You got me on a different topic.
No,
He had a nickname. Had the nickname for me that I just said.
it buffered on my end. I couldn't hear what the word was used. You said plug and play. It wasn't plug and
Yeah,
play.
plug and play.
Plug
Plug
and
and
play.
play.
Oh, okay.
Because I use that term a lot for players that could play as rookies immediately. And so he used to call me plug. Hey, plug and play. How you doing, man?
You had Dad at one point. Rich Eisen and I were keeping track, and you had like 30 of those little
I think
sayings.
he wrote a book and put a
Mayockisms.
chapter of Mayockisms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We should look them up. Actually, I want to look.
No, I'm good.
I want to
I'm
look them
good.
up.
No, it's good.
Okay, fine.
So anyway, that's where the Eagles I think are in the top 4 or 5 in the league, which is where you want to be at this time of year.
I mean, going into week 12, like that's the time. It's like you have to put up or get out, basically, right? And that's what the Eagles are doing. They've won the last 6 in a row. They're
Yep.
what, 8-2?
Yep.
Defense is lights out. Offense feels like they're in a rhythm. They know what they're doing. I think that Eagles fans should be pretty confident going out to LA in week 12 to play Matt Stafford and the Rams. They're 5-5. What do you think about this game? What is it going to be, a challenge? What's going on?
It's a little bit of a dangerous game. I think it's good that it's a primetime game. Gets their attention. When you look at the Rams, 2 things kind of stand out for me. Number one is they started the season 1-4, but the last 5 games they're 4-1. So they're playing better and better football. Sean McVay's a really good coach. They're a very young team. I did their playoff loss at Detroit last year, so I got a really close look at them. And they had 2 rookie defensive linemen last year, Kobe Turner and Byron Young, that were really good. And then they went out and drafted two guys this year from Florida State, Jared Verse in the first round and Braden Fisk in the second round. So their front 4 is one of the most talented, young, aggressive, tough front 4s in all of football.
Okay, that sounds concerning.
Well, it's going to be a challenge because they're young, 2 second-year guys and 2 rookies. But we talk about NIL and transfer portal in college, and I hate it. But 2 of those kids are great stories about it because Jared Verse played at Albany and transferred to Florida State. And I put the first tape in against LSU, and I'm like, this kid from Albany is dominating LSU. I mean, how does that happen? And then this Braden Fisk kid transferred from a MAC school. I want to say Western Michigan, I think. And they end up going in the first and second rounds. I mean, they're great stories, and they're really good football players. So it's going to be a challenge for the Eagles' offensive line. They're young, but they're getting better every week. They compete their asses off, which I love. And I mean, how about Jalen Carter? Frickin' Jalen Carter played 100% of the snaps last week for the Eagles, which never happens with defensive tackles.
I mean, talk about in shape. He's in shape.
We talked about it coming into the year, didn't we? And we talked about Vic Fangio, and I think we got to give their whole coaching staff a bunch of credit. I mean, starting with Vic.
Yep.
Jeremiah Washburn has their defensive ends, and Clint Hurt has the D linemen, and they're playing really well. And you know how much you and I love Max Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
And Max plays more defensive line snaps than anybody in the league, and it's not even close. Like Max plays 100% of the snaps almost every week, but he's a defensive end. The fact that Jalen Carter can play 66 out of 66 snaps at a high level last week, wow. I
That's
mean,
nasty.
yeah, it's crazy how good he's become.
And the Eagles are allowing the fewest yards per game of the league right now, too.
Yes, they're I think number 6 in points allowed, number 1 in yards allowed. They're really, I mean, we've talked since this podcast started about Vic Fangio and what is the development path. And you go into the bye week at 2-2. Cooper DeJean comes in, Quinyon Mitchell, Zach Bond, 3 newcomers are playing their tails off now. And I think whenever teams buy into Vic, which they usually do, his defenses are always kind of in the top 10 in points allowed one way or another. And I got so much respect for the way he coaches, and I have so much respect for Howie Roseman. Having been a former GM, I can sit here and go, it's a hard job, and Howie is so good at it. And Quinyon's the first-round pick. Cooper DeJean's the second-round pick. Zach Bond is off the street. They just continue to stack good player on top of good player.
What are some of the matchups that we can look for with the defense, like in terms of Matt Stafford's weapons on offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most fun, they have 2 of the craftiest wide receivers in football, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua.
Mm-hmm.
They're and they're tough. They block. I love watching their tape because they do everything. Every snap, they're 100%. And you got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
DeJean's the nickel. Puka, both those guys play in the slot a lot. So it's going to be fun to see Cooper DeJean have to compete with those guys. And the same thing with the entire defensive backfield. Who's Slay got, who's Mitchell got, how are they going to play it? I think that's a great matchup. And I hope the defensive line is able to dominate this game because I think they can. I think with Matthew Stafford, the key is either to hit him and get him off his spot. If you let him sit there, he'll pick you apart. He's got so much arm talent. He will pick you apart.
Like precision?
Yeah, he's got a big arm. Mm-hmm. He's tough. He's not afraid. And his ball location is outstanding. So if you just let him sit there, he'll pick you apart.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit him. You got to move him. You got to get him off his spot. You got to pressure him. So that defensive line has to continue to push the pocket.
Okay, and then in terms of Eagles offense, do you think that Saquon will be able to run the ball like he has been against the Rams defense? What's that looking like?
Yeah, it's like I told you, I think last week or the week before, somebody's going to take away that run game to an extent.
Right.
Somebody's going to say, you are not running the football. The quarterback has to beat us. So I'm interested to see what Chris Shula, the Rams defensive coordinator, is he going to pack the box and force the quarterback to throw the football? But then you're dealing with one-on-one with 2 of the best wideouts in the game.
Right.
So that's why the Eagles are so hard to defend. And I just go back to what I said to you a couple minutes ago is that on offense, the Eagles have to be able to control the Rams front. Mm-hmm. They're physical, they're tough, they're young. You got to control those 4 guys. So when you look at the run game, the Rams could get after Saquon. I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be really interesting to see if they try and take Saquon out of the game. And if so, how does Jalen Hurts respond? I think that's the fun part of the game.
Right. And thinking back on it, no one's really done that yet, right? Successfully?
Or been able to do it.
Yeah.
So you got to have a combination of talent and schematics.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm anxious to see what the Rams have up their sleeves, how aggressive they'll be in the run game. Nobody runs the ball more often than Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia is the number 1 run team in the league. I mean, they're gaining like 180 yards a game on the ground, which is ridiculous. And what makes them hard to defend on the ground is you put the ball in Saquon's stomach and everybody comes flying, and every once in a while Jalen pulls it and goes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be disciplined and tough, and so it's a big ask for any defense, and I'm excited to see how the Rams want to play this.
Yeah, that'll be a fun Sunday night football game.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's prime
Yep.
time too. That'll be fun.
Yep.
You played at that stadium a lot, didn't you?
The Rams Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
We had
Preseason.
We had a freaking or a lightning delay.
Oh, I was there. I remember that.
At an indoor stadium. I mean, how do you get a lightning delay at an indoor stadium?
I don't know.
Except for the fact there's openings in the corners. And I remember Gruden was so pissed off because I don't think we got the notice from the referees in time, and our players went out to warm up. And people are wondering, where are the Chargers? And they were still in the locker room, and it turned out
rain delay.
Yeah, it was a lightning delay. So I don't like. It's a beautiful stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it because it's got this scoreboard in the middle, this huge circular scoreboard instead of just like at either. And I remember being on the field before the game, and I returned punts in college. I wasn't any good at it, but I could catch them. I would hate to look up as a punt returner or a wide out or where the ball's way up in the air and you've got this cacophony or whatever that word is of lights exploding around you. I just didn't like it.
It's like the big screen at Jerry's World.
Yeah. Yeah, but this one is circular.
I know, with an opening in the middle. Yeah, it's like
it bothered me.
So speaking of Jerry's World, you've worked with Deion Sanders at NFL Network.
Yep.
You worked with Mike Irvin at NFL Network. Yep. A bunch of people are saying that there's a possibility that Jerry Jones would want to hire Deion Sanders as their next head coach and draft Shador. Do you think, knowing Deion, do you think he would want a job in the NFL, number one? Number two, do you think he would want it to be with the Dallas Cowboys, which obviously he played for the Dallas Cowboys, and he should know Jerry pretty well. And Mike Irvin was at the fight at AT&T Stadium this weekend, politicking for this to be the case. What do you think is going through Deion's mind in terms of what he wants to do in general in the coaching world?
I haven't talked to Deion in a long time, so this is just my own.
Yeah, but him, you've worked with him.
Yeah, no. Here's what stands out to me about Deion. Number one, he's a very intelligent guy. Mm-hmm. He knows his value, and he's known it since he came out of Florida State as an explosive corner, punt returner, receiver, baseball player. Like Deion understands.
You know what
his
people
value.
call that? He's him.
He's him?
Yeah.
Who's him?
Deion. He's him. Like he's that guy. That's the slang for it.
He's, what do they call the guy? His player.
What? I'm saying the slang. The slang.
He's got a play. Well, what's his player's slang? Huh? Him? How can they both be him?
Travis Hunter is also him.
So they're two hims.
Yeah.
I thought you said there could only be one him.
I never said that. I said.
The best way to get out of that would have said him then and him now. But anyway.
No, thank you.
So let me finish the thought on Deion. Really smart, understands his value, understands his son's value, understands Travis Hunter value. He had an interesting statement yesterday, the day before. They asked him about this. He said, "I've got a kickstand down, like a bike kickstand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it here. I did, but I think he would be open to the right opportunity, whether it be college or the NFL. And with Shador moving on next year, I have no idea. It's so hard to control. Unless you have the first pick, it's hard to control everything.
Right.
But I think Deion understands his value. If somebody came along and offered him an unbelievable opportunity, I'm sure he'd listen. Okay. One of his strengths, which I give him a ton of credit for, like you're taking this coaching job at Colorado. Who you hiring as your coaches, right? He got Pat Shermer as his offensive coordinator, a longtime NFL guy. On defense, Robert Livingston from Cincinnati Bengals, a really good, young, aggressive coach who should have been a coordinator before and is doing a great job with that defense. And several guys that have been on NFL staffs. So Deion knows what he doesn't know also.
Mm-hmm.
He needed some X and O experience, right? So he goes out and gets guys that have it.
Right.
And lets them do their thing, but make no mistake about it, it's Deion's program. So that's a long way of saying that I think he'd be open to a great opportunity, whether it was college or NFL. He'd want to be paid. He'd want autonomy. He'd want a lot of things. But he's shown an ability to hire a really good staff. And with Shador moving on, maybe it's the time frame is right. I don't know.
Do you think that Jerry Jones is someone who would give him autonomy?
Well, that's a tough question because Jerry is the de facto GM.
Exactly. That's what I'm asking.
So that's a sticking point for any head coach that wants. Now they've drafted well, and they've got a couple of scouts who I've got a ton of respect for. They're really good at what they do. But at the end of the day, it's Jerry's gig, So any head coach or potential head coach that has leverage, like a Bill Belichick or maybe Deion Sanders or whatever. Anybody who's got leverage, that's going to be one of their major points. Is okay. What are we doing on the personnel side?
Mm-hmm. I don't see Jerry Jones giving up any control, even to a Deion. I just don't think people like that even know how to do that. I think they could think they know how to do that, and I think they could say the right things to make someone believe that they will give them that, but I don't think they are actually capable of handing over reins in any type of way for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah. But that'll be fun to watch too. I really do want to. I wish I knew what he was doing. I'm so intrigued by that. How cute would that be if he was coaching his son in the NFL?
It'd be kind of crazy. I mean, I did it in high school with Pop, and when it's different when you're 14 years old and he's making you run sprints because you screwed up a read. But Deion Prime, he does a hell of a job with his son there, and he's trying to protect both those kids, him and Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter is insane. I've never seen anything like it.
He's gifted.
He's him.
I guess he's one of them.
What are you doing this weekend?
Driving back to Philly.
Oh, that's right. You'll be back
Thursday.
for Thanksgiving, huh?
Yeah, yep.
But
and you're going to Ireland.
I won't see you. I know. I get to go to Ireland. I'm so excited. I've never been. Have you been?
No, I'm jealous.
Ooh.
So hope you have a great time.
Thanks.
You're going with Aunt Joey, right?
Yes, and I'm going for my goddaughter Blake's baptism. My best friend Megan, It's her daughter, and I'm so excited. And I want to see castles, and I want to see like sheep. Don't they have like a lot of livestock?
We would have different goals in Ireland. I'd be looking for golf courses and beer.
I'm not looking for either of those.
Castles and sheep. Good luck.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. We will chat again after the Rams host the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday Night Football, NFL Week 12. So I can't wait.
All right. Have a great vacation. Not vacation, but have a great trip. And I hope you have a wonderful time. And we'll chat later.
Okay. Thanks, Dad. Love ya.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.